Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at a wood screw. Well, probably a sheet metal screw, but the bottom line is this is a Hager 1-360-7432-L1. It's not unusual that a client will ask us for longer screws when attaching hinges, and there's enough call for such an item that we are in the process of adding them to our website. So this is a 2.5-inch wood screw that's going to be in black and an L1 finish. So this is a number 12 screw, 2.5-inch overall length, black finish. L1 is what Hager's code is for flat black, and it's obviously a flathead. It's threaded to the head, and it is made of steel. Why would someone ask for this specifically? We just sold some hinges to a client who really insisted on having longer screws. They were just adamant about concluding that they would be required for the application, and I don't disagree at all, and in fact, based on the application, it was probably a very good idea. So let's talk about more specifically of why you may want this. Now, you may want that wood screw to be a longer length. You may want it because you have an application where you're going to be attaching your hinge to veneered particle board jambs. Okay, those are awful. They're probably going to be thinner than standard, maybe 5/8, or you're using that, you know that behind the jamb you've got some shim, and then there's a wood stud behind it, so you've got a void there of, say, 1/4 inch. So the standard 1.25-inch screws are effectively only biting through the thickness of the veneered particle board jamb, or even worse than particle board, through a void, and then the very tip of the screw itself will just touch the stud. So that's an application where you would certainly want that. Another meaning the base material, the installation, is insufficient for the standard fastener based on the construction. You may also want it because you know over time, you may have learned over time that top hinge seems to take all the abuse. Well, in reality, the top hinge does take all the abuse. It does 70% of the weight of hanging the door. And I've seen residential applications, pairs of doors in a home, that's a coat closet. So that door is going to get used all the time. That door will get used every day. In a northern climate, it'll get used as much as the door leading to the garage to get to the car. So those top hinge screws, it's really common to have to tighten those. Well, when someone doesn't tighten those over time, when they do become loose and the door continues to get used, the material itself that the screw is run into has become damaged. So I've seen lots of times a handyman's been called in, he's taken that screw out, and all he did was gotten a 2.5-inch drywall screw. Well, the problem with that is it's probably a number 8, would be my guess. It's the wrong color, and it's the wrong head type for a screw. It's a bugle head, so it doesn't sit right in there at all. So the bottom line is, the better sort of choice is the original screw that would have came with the hinge, just twice the length. And in those applications where you know it's going to be a high abuse application, you've got a double stud, your jam's going on there, sure, why wouldn't you have the option for longer screws? It's a great idea. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at a little bit of supporting information. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. And we don't have this 2.5-inch black wood screw and steel in the site, but when we do, it will look not unlike this, in the sense that it will tell you that it's a wood screw for full mortise architectural hinges. Sure, other hinge types as well. 2.5 by number 12, flat Phillips head W, I guess, wood screw. it'll be threaded to the head. That's pretty typical for wood screws in terms of hinge applications, because in fact NFPA 80 literally calls out screws for fire doors to be threaded to the head if it's a wood screw. So that's why because a wood screw is not threaded to the head. 4, 4.5, 5-inch size. The bottom line is whenever you're going to use a number 12 size screw on a hinge, that would be the appropriate size. Base material is steel, L1 black finish, and there'll be a table like this that will be there that will allow you to see all of the part numbers. And the table that you'll end up seeing will likely be different than this because we're expanding it. But the 100 each, the 100 per box part number, the each screw part number for wood screws. Then over here is machine screws, 100 each, and then the each price. So you can get the part number based on the base material. Well, first of all, the screw type. If it's a wood screw, the length. Then the base material. These are steel, these are brass, these are stainless. And then the screw type, wood versus machine screws. And then lastly, the finish, of course, broken into the box price, the box part number, and the each screw part number. Now, let's look at some screws, some images that we have here. Yeah. So this is just showing the screw. It's obviously painted, is what the finish is. You can tell. So I don't love the way that they package them. They throw all the screws in a box. Well, they're going to get chipped. That's right from the factory. Hager needs to elevate how they insulate items from each other. It's systemic at times. It's just a screw, but if I wanted scratched black, I would have asked for scratched black, not black. Anyway, it's a pet peeve of mine. So there is, below this video, a link to the manufacturer's page as seen here. And when you pull up that manufacturer's page, you can view not only all of the Hager products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation here, a link to the manufacturer's website, and then their full product catalog, whatever year or version that is. So in here, you're obviously going to be able to find all things Hager, and their cover of their catalog is actually, it's perfectly represented of what it is that they do. It's not just Hager Hinge, which is what it was once upon a time. They've gotten into a lot of things for many decades now. Trim and auxiliary hardware, obviously architectural hinges, continuous geared aluminum hinges, pin and barrel hinges. This would be representative of not only a lock set, but exit device trim, door closers, gasketing, residential hinges, European, residential Euro-style hardware, sliding door hardware, low-energy automatic operators, exit devices. There's that pin and barrel hinge. That's there. Everything but the door and frame is what Hager sells, and a lot of distributors like that because it's a single purchase order to a single vendor. So working in the Hager ecosystem. So we landed on this just quite accidentally. It's not unusual to see these jams not of solid lumber, but of veneer-wrapped something. Particle board, likely MDF. Not a lot of screw withdrawal strength there. A lot of residential construction doesn't have the industry standard, best practice, prescribed double studs. If you really want that top hinge to hold, sure, get yourself a longer screw. Why not? Absolutely. Be sure to pre-drill it the entire length. And all I did was search for BB1279 because that's the standard hinge that you'll see this type of screw used on. So they've got 6x6 listed here for a BB1279, and you'll note that they don't use a number 12 screw, they use a 14. So be mindful that what we're talking about here is a number 12 screw, not a 14. Bigger hinges will use larger screws. Let's take a look at, actually, since we're looking at it, an 1199, which is going to be a heavyweight hinge. It happens to be a non-ferrous base material. But what I'd like to see is that same table to figure out what screw size they're using. On larger hinges. BB11. Just bear with me. I'm committed to finding it now. Okay, so we've got, yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, so yeah, even on an 8-inch tall hinge, it's still a number 14 screw. So eventually we'll have 14s in there as well, because it's not necessarily typical that you'll see a 2.5-inch wood screw on a 4.5 by 4.5. You get out to these 8 by 6s, where you're clearly hanging a massive door. Yeah, longer screws are going to make a lot of sense there. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Yes, this is just a video on a wood screw, but it's nice to be able to see what it is, see what it looks like, what it's used for, where the additional resources are for Hager and the website. Hager's been in business since either right after or right before the Civil War in the 19th century. I believe they're a 7-generation family business. It's 5 or more, and Hager is definitely continuing on the path of inserting themselves in the greater commercial construction industry of several dozens of billions of dollars a year of construction work. Hager is very involved in not only specification writing, so that their products are in the specifications when a building is built, but Hager is also extremely active in our industry when it comes to education. 2 of their top inside folks when it comes to industry knowledge, specification writing, low voltage hardware, they're extremely active within the industry in terms of educating those that work in our industry. So to those folks, for that I say thank you very much. I've been a student in two of the gentlemen's classes. I've been a student of theirs at least once for one and a half a dozen times for the other. Any questions on this 2.5-inch wood screw or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.